Welcome to episode 48 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. The world is insisting that we change. It is throwing everything in our path that can dislodge us from our set patterns of behavior and beliefs. It's super inconvenient. But if we are honest, we must admit that we hate change. We hate not knowing what is going to happen next. It's unsettling. It shakes the foundation beneath us. We as humans, here in this school, are not always inspired to look more deeply at what we do, what we think, what we say. We hate it when someone points out that what we say, think, or do is in any way unacceptable. That hurts. No one likes being wrong. But the lack of change is the hallmark of a lack of growth. The lack of discomfort is a sign that you aren't challenging yourself to grow further. Without challenge, we tend to stagnate. We aren't here to stagnate. We are here to grow, and we're here to make this a better place for everyone. Our personal goals, once met, can offer us the illusion that everything is okay. We tend to think that if we have all our ducks in a row, that all is right with the world. But it's not. This school requires larger thinking than all's well that ends well. The rebirth is needed so we can recreate the world into a place where everyone can do and be their best. The rebirth will require that we look at what is not working for people other than ourselves and determine why it isn't working for them. To make that determination, we need to examine the history of how people have been pushed to the margins and what part we play today in keeping them from the full expression of their gifts and talents. We're moving into a higher level of development, one where we learn to care for others to the same degree that we care about ourselves and our relatively small circle of loved ones. We are moving toward the goal of feeling nothing but love and compassion for ourselves and others. I'm fully aware that seems impossible, and it very well may be. Some will achieve it in this lifetime, but most won't. But even if we are unable to reach the final goal, we must still make every effort to move in that direction. The systems that are in place right now are decidedly lacking in compassion. If there is a person who is homeless and struggling with mental health issues, they are arrested and incarcerated. This gives them a roof over their head and predictable meals, but is not what will solve the problem. This is how we've gotten into the trouble we have with law enforcement. Everything is their problem to deal with, but they cannot solve the problems that people experience. They can only criminalize the problem. We need to restructure our systems to better care for one another. We need to have the capacity to meet people where they are and assist them in getting up to a level that's higher from the one where they currently exist. We are being called upon to take better care of one another than we have up to this point, and we have the capacity to do just that. We just need to let go of some of our former thoughts and practices. We need to let go of concepts like greed is good, 3 strikes and you're out, every man for himself. We need to stop propping up massive corporations and demonizing individuals who need our assistance. We need to abandon the human desire to put those we've deemed to be less than us down in an effort to make ourselves look bigger. That's not working. We need to step out of the limited mindset that only some can succeed and those who do not just didn't do enough. We need to stop pushing some off into the margins so we can grab the bigger piece of the cake, leaving them with the crumbs and dirty dishes. We need to rethink the parts of us that tolerate the poor treatment of others. Much of what fuels our behavior is what we grew up with. If you were raised in a family culture of cruelty and rejection, it is much easier to fall into those behavior patterns. Growing up with someone who is cruel has taught you the practice of making excuses for that cruelty, which just allows more cruelty to exist in the world. This type of conditioning is hard, but not impossible to overcome. If cruelty seems normal to you, you need to look into why that is. When I see people post particularly heinous things on social media in an attempt to obliterate another person, someone they don't even know, I have to wonder who spoke to them in that fashion. I don't think that if you were raised in a warm and loving fashion that you would be capable of this kind of cruelty. It just wouldn't be part of your makeup. You wouldn't be storing so much anger and bile that you were looking for an excuse to unleash. I also assume that the people who express terrible thoughts about others tend to have an internal dialogue that is similar. I think they are as mean to themselves as they are to others. Remember, it's equally important to feel love and compassion for yourself as it is for you to feel love and compassion for others. They are inextricably linked. The degree of love and compassion you have for yourself is equal to the degree of love and compassion you have for others. The degree to which you love yourself is the limit of how much you're capable of loving others. Luckily, repairing one, raising it to a higher level, will raise the other. Maybe you grew up in an environment where you were not afforded the opportunity to feel good about yourself or others. That too is repairable. We are never too young or old to reparent ourselves. To do so, you will need to pay very close attention to that voice in your head. You know, the one that is seemingly impossible to shut off. Is that voice loving and supportive of you, or is it your relentless critic? Also, what does that internal voice say about others? Does it focus on what is wonderful and admirable about others, or does it fixate on those it deems worthy of your judgment and derision? The best way to figure that out is to either say out loud what the voice is saying to you, or write it down. That may seem insane to do, but that voice is coloring the way you see yourself and others, and the way you process the world around you. What it says may be patently false, or unnecessarily cutting. Only you can sort out its validity. Then you can actively replace that voice with the messaging that is kind and supportive. It takes time and diligence to examine your underlying thoughts, but it is essential because your well-being depends on it. Measure, by that voice, what expectations you have for yourself. The expectations that may not have been installed by you. They may not reflect your true vision for your life and where you want to go. That voice may be working against your best interests. You can only know that if you meticulously examine everything it is saying. Also, measure the expectations you have of others, and whether you are more focused on people who model behaviors that would raise you up, or whether you spend your time thinking of those who you have decided are wrong or bad. This type of personal growth project is an excellent way to use the time and isolation that the pandemic forces on us, it's a perfect time to recalibrate. Honestly, in these times, there's good reason to congratulate yourself for getting out of bed in the morning. There's a good reason to recognize and praise yourself for every single way that you keep it together during the day. As you drift into evening and experience those Groundhog's Day feelings, there is reason to celebrate your ability to remain focused and optimistic about the future. As each day bleeds into the next, you will need to love yourself, offer yourself grace, and hold your own hand. The more love and compassion you have for yourself, the more you will have to offer others. And that is what will get us where we need to go. We have talked about how the system works in a way that reveals to us our gaps in awareness. Watching examples of this in the news offers views into how that happens and how people respond when their gap is revealed. Humans rarely have the wisdom or grace to accept the revelation and allow it to move them forward. It's more of a struggle than that. Few have the wisdom and self-control to just ask for the time it takes to process the new information and allow it to facilitate the needed change in thinking or actions. Most feel they have to respond immediately, and as we have discussed previously, at the very moment a gap in your awareness is revealed, you do not yet know any more than you did in the moment before it was revealed. Most revelations do not have the immediate effect that pulling your hand out of the fire would. If you didn't yet know that fire would burn your hand and that it would hurt like heck, you make that connection very quickly. But the thoughts and actions that make sense to us do so because they are held in place by a series of thoughts and actions that led us there. Most big reveals require that we disassemble that entire series of thoughts so we can end up with a different conclusion. That is no small deed. It takes time and reflection and more information to come to a different conclusion. In a recent piece of news, there is this politician who had spent much energy in the public space voicing his opinion about COVID-19 being a bogus issue and rejecting the need for anyone to wear masks. So his gap in awareness was revealed through a COVID diagnosis. The big, painful reveal. So how did he deal with this gap being revealed? Instead of accepting that he was wrong in his previous belief, he announced that the mask gave him the virus. The mask made him sick. This very human frailty might be funny if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic where it keeps raging because people do not want to take precautions. This is a situation that is constantly evolving. We will all be wrong or misinformed about aspects of the challenges we face, and we all need to work on our ability to change as we know more, change as we know better. People being locked into opposing camps will not solve this, as is evidenced by our inability to bring this virus under control so we can resume our lives. It is hard to imagine how we get to the other side of this, since we struggle so to become a society that cares for others, a society where we can do what is best for others, even if there is no direct line to a benefit for ourselves. The deeply ingrained belief system that we are not responsible for the well-being of others must be disassembled before even the simple act of wearing a mask would make sense to some. There are so many people who embrace a belief system that is void of empathy. They cannot whip up any concern for anything that is not affecting them directly. That belief system must be disassembled before they will care whether you and your family live or die. Our challenge at this time and in this place is to do the work of disassembling the systems that ignore the fact that we are all here to love one another and to allow everyone to bring their best to the collective. Thanks for joining us this week. I appreciate the time you spend grappling with life and its meaning. If you have questions, email me at rebirthrev@gmail.com. Rebirth Revolution is now available on iHeartRadio, along with every other place they have podcasts. Welcome to our new listeners in Virginia, along with those in the United Kingdom, Canada, India, and Poland. Until next week, continue to watch truths bubble to the surface. See which truths can grow you further. Speak kindly to yourself and wear your mask. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet, not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay open and humble and safe.